Welcome to Break the Cycle with Bethany Dotson, the podcast for high achieving professional women who struggle with codependency, attracting emotionally unavailable partners, and who repeat dysfunctional patterns in love. I'm your host, Bethany Dotson, and if you want to learn more about how to break your cycle in love, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and be the first to know when a new episode drops. I'll see you inside. Today, I want to talk about how to overcome your fear of the unknown after you leave or divorce an ex. And I come across this a lot in my work where women have stayed decades with a partner. They've been in a long-term marriage or relationship. They knew very early on, usually within the first month, definitely within the first year, that there were red flags and bad behavior. And they got so good at excusing that behavior, minimizing it, making excuses for their partner, and buying into false hope, and then spending many, many years cutting off parts of themselves essentially to make the relationship work. And by the time that they are out of that relationship, they are overwhelmed. They are blindsided. They feel like a shell of a person. They're just trying to get through the day to day. That they may have a great career, but they're maybe skating on ice at work. And they can't imagine what the future looks like. And unfortunately, a lot of people get stuck here. They get stuck in what I call like the apathy zone. They just do the bare minimum to get through the day. They go to work, they come home, they take care of their kids, they feel guilty because their kids have definitely been impacted by the relationships that they've been in. They've seen their mom participate in. And they get stuck in a really big rut. And oftentimes when people book a call with me, they do that because they want to change. There's something inside of them that wants to change, but often the thing that stops them from changing and really opening their hearts, probably for the first time ever in their lives, and learning to have healthy relationships and learning to be vulnerable is the fear of the unknown. And fear of the unknown is the same seductive fear that kept them in a dysfunctional relationship. They were afraid to leave that relationship because of the children, because of what if I can't make it on my own financially? What if I don't meet anybody else? I mean, it's good when it's good. It's also bad when it's bad. And so they get mired in this trap of trying to ward off more pain by controlling. One way that control showed up in the relationship was hoping that her partner changed, trying to get her partner to act different, adjusting her behavior so much that she completely lost who she was and destroyed her identity in that process. And before we talk about how to overcome your fear of the unknown, I want to talk about mistakes I see a lot of women make in an attempt to ward off future failure and ward off future pain. And I want to emphasize the point that if you are feeling stuck in your life right now, it is because something in your heart, something in your spirit, something within the depths of your soul wants more. But because of your conditioning, your past trauma, your programming, the perceptions, the beliefs that you have about yourself and about the world, all of that acts like a fence that keeps you penned in. I tell my client the analogy of being a horse, you're a wild horse in a very small pen. And the fence that is pinning you in is your own conditioning. So it's really never about your ex or your exes or your parents or your childhood or whoever. It is really about you and what you are believing and what you're giving your energy to. So, number one mistake that I see women make when they exit a long-term relationship, and they're trying to rebuild their identity, they're trying to figure out who they are again, they're trying to like live life on their own and be happy, is they don't have a clear vision of the future. They don't have a clear vision of where they're going. They don't even know what they want anymore because they spent so much time pouring their energy and their emotions into trying to fix the relationship and fix a person that's not their job to fix somebody. They lost so much emotional power that they don't even know what they want. They don't even know who they are. So they move through their life without a clear, defined vision of the future. And there's two main reasons for this. Number one, they're living in a trauma response. When you've had narcissistic abuse, betrayal trauma, you married someone, then the mask dropped and you didn't even know what you were getting in for. When you're living in a trauma response, you're basically every single day living in fight or flight from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. It's just about surviving that day. You might wake up immediately in anxiety and overwhelm and feel like already you don't have enough time to get what you need to get done during the day. You might also go to bed and before you fall asleep, you're ruminating about your ex. You're thinking about what he's doing with the new supply. You're binge researching narcissism. All these things are going through your mind. You're wondering, am I ever going to know what a healthy relationship is like? All of that thinking puts your body in a state of fight or flight. You are not in a place to relax. You're not in a place to believe that anything else is possible for you. You're not in a place to create. Because when you are living in fight or flight, your body and your brain don't believe that it's safe to create, to do anything differently. So a lot of people who especially have emotional abuse trauma get out of these relationships and they just keep living in survival mode. They were living in survival mode likely for many years in the relationship. And because that's what they've gotten really good at doing for years, they just pick that pattern up and put it over here on their single life. And so because they're living in a trauma response, they don't give themselves the time to and the emotional energy and the bandwidth to really think about what they want. They might have a desire. I want to travel more. I want to start that business. I want to get married again. I want to have children. But they're too focused on the challenges and the problems and their ex and all this stuff that's going on in their life. So that's number one. They don't have a clear vision of the future. The other thing that prevents them, other than living a daily trauma response, is that they don't believe it's possible for them. They don't feel worthy that they could have that. And I share this so many times um, from women who are 40, 50, 60. I want a great relationship, but I'm too old. I want a great relationship, but I have too much baggage. I want a great relationship, but time is running out for me. I want a great relationship, but my options are limited. It's slim pickings my age. I want a great relationship, but, and they don't believe what they really want is truly possible if they can have it. They think it when you've had a relationship where you thought that person was your soulmate and you got duped, a lot of women are so fearful of putting themselves out there again because they don't want to get burned. And they do that with their future. So the biggest mistake, number one mistake I see, you don't have a clear vision of your future. You're not really going for it. You are just about maintaining day to day. And because you're so exhausted, overwhelmed, depleted, drained, shell of the person, feeling guilty, feeling angered, you're living in all of these survival emotions, shame, you're not properly fueling the direction that you want to go in because you're living in all of these negative limiting emotions and you're thinking all these negative limiting thoughts about yourself. And here's the kicker. Most of the time, the thoughts that you're thinking about yourself are you're not even fully aware that you're doing it. It becomes so much of who you are. You just do it on autopilot. And this is one of the benefits of having a breakthrough call and then working with a coach is that a good coach is going to bring you face to face with your bullshit and your limiting thoughts and your beliefs and help you transform those and help you choose the beliefs that are going to get you where you want to go. More on that later. So that's the number one barrier that I see that keeps people locked in fear of the unknown. They don't have a clear vision of where they're going. They don't believe it's possible for them, or they're so busy living in survival mode that they don't have the bandwidth at all to give that that dream, the fuel, the emotion, the energy that it needs. The second mistake that I want to point out that keeps people in um, survival mode, well, it's kind of like part of number one, is anchoring themselves in work or chronic busyness. I see this a lot. People get out of a dysfunctional relationship. They feel heartbroken. They feel like, why did I stay so long? They're beating themselves up. Will I ever have a great relationship? And as a way to cope with those feelings, nobody wants to feel like that on a regular basis. No, common way that people cope with that is by becoming a workaholic. They just stay busy. And a lot of therapists will actually tell them, just stay busy, just keep your mind off of it, which is terrible advice because you spent many years keeping your mind off of your intuition and keeping your mind off all the red flags. So that I don't agree with that advice. I think it can be constructive in certain instances, but it's not a long-term strategy for sure. So when you are anchoring yourself in work, number one, it can give you a sense of purpose. It can give you a sense of like, oh, okay, I'm not thinking about my ex. I'm thinking about work and all the crazy demands that work has on me right now. Okay. So at least you're not thinking about your ex, but you're still keeping your nervous system and your brain uh, hyped up unnecessarily, right? We have all kinds of distractions that could keep us tuned out from who we really are. We have work, we have cell phones, we have social media, we have bottles of wine every night, we have Xanax, we have uh, endless plethora of articles on narcissism and how to identify a covert narcissist that you can turn your attention to. But all of that work, anchoring yourself in work and busyness, is only perpetuating your pattern. It's only perpetuating your trauma response and the patterns that you have in a relationship. And I see this so many times with women that I work with and I talk to on the phone. They've done everything. They have read all the books. They have binged all the articles online. They've done all the YouTube videos. They watched a lot of my videos. They've joined Orange Theory Fitness. They've joined cooking classes. They've joined a hiking. They've joined a meetup group. But at the end of the day, they still feel like something's wrong with them. And they're doing all of the right things out here, but they still feel invisible. They still feel like nobody is going to love them the way that they want to be loved. They still feel like they're going to fall for another narcissist. They still have all of this self doubt and they still inherently feel unlovable. So the busyness is not going to get you where you want to go, is not going to create courage in the future. In fact, busyness often keeps people stuck, and busyness is a coping strategy to feel in control. I want to feel in control of my life so I don't have to be hurt by some future failure or some guy out there or something that I try to do and that I fail at. And the more you try to insulate and protect yourself from the unknown, the more pain you produce. It's really that simple. If you stayed in a toxic relationship because you were afraid of what life would be like out there because of beliefs and conditioning and thoughts in your mind, it's safe to say you can probably agree that you just produce more pain over that period of time. And now, when you're 20 years in with somebody and you have reduced your self esteem to sub zero and you don't know what the future holds, it's really easy to anchor yourselves in anything and everything to avoid dealing with, like being a workaholic, like staying chronically busy when you're not at work. So that's the other mistake that I find women falling into. And the second and the third and final thing that I just want to cover quickly that keeps people locked in fear of the unknown, it's like they're wanting to ride their bicycle, but they're like on a stationary bike. They're trying to go somewhere, but they're just pedaling faster and faster, and that bike isn't going anywhere. The third thing that people fall into is the information gathering phase. So I had somebody reach out to me yesterday, and she said she didn't want to book a call. She was just looking for answers about her ex, and so she was in the phase of I just want answers about why he's doing this. Well, that's not going to change her life because we could talk for years about why he's doing that, but we'll never know because we're not him. So people get into a rut where their focus is on what their ex is doing or what their ex has done. And oh my gosh, he was a narcissist. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, gathering that data, right, about the other person. But here's the trap about doing that. The trap about researching your ex's pathological behavior takes the focus off of you and onto them. That's number one. Because really, your patterns in relationship have nothing to do with who you're dating and everything to do about yourselves and what's going on in your psychology. And often it takes a toxic relationship to be the uncomfortable, painful wake up call that we need to finally take ownership of, oh, wait, what am I doing? Why am I always fixing people? What's that about? Why am I afraid of emotional intimacy? Why am I afraid of abandonment? But a lot of people don't necessarily take that ownership right away. It's more seductive to focus your effort and your thoughts and your energy on the other person. The longer you do that, the more your attention is out here and less in here where it needs to be if you truly want to transform that pattern. The second thing that researching somebody else's pathological behavior is doing for you is it's making them wrong and making you right. And when we tell ourselves, oh, my ex was a narcissist and this is why the relationship failed, it helps us not take responsibility for our end of the dysfunction. Because let's be honest, if you are getting into dysfunctional relationships, it's not just the other person who has dysfunctional behavior, it's also yourself. So when you're gathering information and you're reading books, this is not bad. But gathering information is not an evidence based strategy for healing trauma, which is the root cause of why most people get into these relationships to begin with. It's the root cause of why most people are codependent. They have unhealed complex trauma, they have attachment issues, they have abandonment issues from long ago, they have rejection issues from long ago. They've got this patterning subconsciously that a lot of them are not even aware of. And a set of emotional responses to life that are programmed from past trauma that cause them to be hypersensitive to rejection or abandonment. And reading about that stuff is not enough. It's not deep, the deep enough work needed to change that. So, those are the three common things I see a lot of women falling into that keep them stuck in fear of the unknown and just kind of riding the bike. They're trying to go somewhere, but they look down and that bike is a stationary bike. It's like one of those 1980s Jane Fonda, I don't know, exercise bikes. They're not really going anywhere. So, how do you go somewhere? How do you overcome your fear of the unknown, which is the same fear that kept you in a toxic relationship? How do you do that? Well, first of all, you need to have some type of mindfulness or mind body practice every day that is helping you learn emotional regulation skills. People who get into these types of relationships tend to lack communication skills. They tend to lack the ability to set boundaries. They tend to lack learning to regulate their emotions. They react to their partner's behavior. They make up a bunch of stories. They get very fearful. Nobody makes good decisions when they're living from a fear based mindset, a fear based mentality. So you need some type of practice every single day that's going to give you emotional regulation skills. Some things that are proven in research, somatic therapy, which is what we use here inside Break the Cycle, dialectical behavioral therapy. This is also a mindfulness, a mind body based therapy that is used for people who have borderline personality disorder. BPD is often a product of unhealed trauma from someone's past, and it manifests as more severe um, uh, behavior. The inside relationships are volatile for people who have BPD. And dialectical behavioral therapy, otherwise known as DBT, is a mindfulness based practice that helps people rewire their brain and their body, like somatic therapy helps people rewire their brain and their body out of that fight or flight living and into it's safe for me to be in a relationship. It's safe for me to trust myself. It's safe for me to trust other people. So you need that going on for you, something that you're doing every day that is going to help you learn emotional regulation and get you out of a fight or flight living and help you break your addiction to coping with your cell phone, with work, with staying chronically busy, with a bottle of wine if that's your thing, with needing Xanax to fall asleep every night if that's your thing. You need something that's going to help you naturally and holistically begin shifting your awareness of like what's wrong with me to, oh wait, everything's right with me. And also of your ex and onto, well, curiosity, why am I doing that? Most people that I work with, at least in the beginning when we start working together, they're really, really good at beating themselves up. They are, in many, many cases, their own worst abuser. The self talk, the inner critic that they have is so loud that they're constantly in judgment of themselves. So it's another topic for another day. So, number one, some type of emotional regulation practice that you're doing every single day. The second thing that you need to be doing, and this is what we do inside Break the Cycle, is something to get out of your comfort zone. Get out of your comfort zone every single day. So, one of the practices that I have my clients do is a 30-day comfort zone challenge. And they make out a list of things that they want to do if they had 30 days left to live. What are the things that they want to accomplish on that list? What's 30 things that they can do? Some of these things are big. They're not going to be able to accomplish those in 30 days. Some of these things are what's going to get them out of their comfort zone. And for a lot of people that I work with, they're really good at doing. Most of the clients I work with are overachievers. They do way more than their fair share. They feel like they have to prove their worth and they always feel resentful or underappreciated in the end, whether that's in a relationship or in their careers. So a lot of times, that comfort zone challenge is, maybe you initiate a conversation with a cute bartender. Maybe you take yourself to a date at a bar by yourself and deal with those feelings of feeling self conscious and feeling like an outsider. Maybe you I don't know, maybe you ask a great guy out on a date. I don't know. So it's something every single day that's going to challenge your comfort zone and hopefully put you in a position where you could possibly meet rejection. A lot of people that I work with stay in these types of relationships because underneath all of that, number one is a deep, deep, deep desire to feel love, but blocking that ability to receive that love is a bigger fear of I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to feel abandonment. And they do anything in their power to cling, to hold on to try to get the other person to change. I need you to act this way so I can feel okay, which is dysfunctional and codependent. So you need to be doing something that's going to stretch you out of your comfort zone every single day. And the sad truth, and this is sad, but it's also backed up by neuroscience, is that if you've been living your life your way, avoiding discomfort, avoiding the unknown, if it's left up to you, you are going to slide back into complacency because our brains are more designed to stay in the comfort zone and less prone to taking risks. And if you've been in a bad relationship and your self esteem has been whittled down to a stub or zero, your ability to take a risk may be severely impaired. So it's wise to work with somebody and to be in a community where people are doing that, where you're surrounding yourself by people who are doing the uncommon, who are opening their hearts after bad relationships, who are not quitting, who are stepping into their power. A lot of the women that I talk to on the phone, they talk about their friends who are in other relationships, but they don't feel like they can talk to them. They don't feel like they can really share what's going on for them. They feel like their friends might judge them because they just got out of another bad relationship. Um, Or some people have friends that, they're also divorced. They're also out of bad relationships. And all they do is bitch and complain about men on online dating. And that is not going to be the environment that's going to be conducive to help you transform your psychology and you step out of your comfort zone and you go after what you really, really want. So if you realize you've been doing all the things, but you're still on your bike, you're trying to ride your bike down the street, but you're like just basically pedaling in place, you're not really going anywhere, and you want a proven evidence-based strategy, number one, for healing complex trauma and rewiring your brain and your nervous system out of fight or flight, out of something's wrong with me, and into authenticity, into it's safe for me to be who I really am, into it's safe for me to speak up, into it's safe for me to take up space in the world. It's safe for me to pursue my dream. It's safe for me to open my heart again to love. It's safe for me to date again. I talk to a lot of women, they haven't been on a date in years because they don't trust themselves. They want a great relationship, but they don't give themselves permission to go for it because they're too afraid. They're too afraid of what could happen. And I will be the first person to tell you, the longer you buy into your fear of what could happen and fear of the unknown, the longer you will stay stuck. You'll be just standing in the same place 5 years from now. So if you recognize that, number one, life is short. Number two, your life is probably more than halfway over. Number three, you've spent too many years settling and you're wanting to overcome your trauma. You're wanting to heal the parts of you that are a match for dysfunctional relationships. And you're wanting to have, number one, the best relationship with yourself and have a great relationship in the future with a wonderful partner. Then go to BethanyDotson.com/talk and book a free breakthrough session. We'll talk for about 45 minutes to an hour. We're going to get you really, really clear. A lot of people get on that phone and they're like, I think I know what I need to do. But they've been thinking that for years and they're still stuck. So we're going to get you really, really clear on why you're stuck, on what's really going on for you. Okay. Number two, we're going to get you very clear on what you want. And so many people shortchange themselves on this. This is probably the part of the call where people have the most challenges is getting clarity on what they really, really want. So we're going to work with you and help you get super clear and emotionally connected to what you want. And then if during that call, I feel I can help you overcome your fear, your trauma, your codependency, your people pleasing, you're wanting to control an outcome, you're wanting to control life so that you don't get hurt again. Get all of that out of the way. I'll talk about what it looks like to work together. And then at the same time, if I don't think it's going to be a fit, it does have to be a fit, especially when we're talking about healing trauma. Um, I'll steer you in the direction that's right for you. So here's who the call is for. You're professional, successful. You've got some success professionally. You're a career-driven woman. You other than like your love life, every other area of your life is going good for you. You're got your ish together. You're driven. You tend to attract underachieving partners, that type of a thing. Number two, you are done with your ex. You are not hoping to make it work. You're not hoping he comes back. You're not hoping he changes. You're done with all that. Okay. So that's really, really important. We can't help people when they're holding on to their past. All right. Number three, you've probably already invested in therapy. We say this because we like people to have some baseline of processing and exposure to talking with a therapist in a therapeutic setting, because that usually means they're ready for coaching. They're actually ready to stop talking about the past and start taking steps toward their future. So if that's you, go to BethanyDotson.com/talk. We'll have a very honest conversation. We'll get you super clear. And if we can help you, we'll let you know that. I will talk to you all very soon. Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to today's show. A brand new episode drops each week. Be sure to click and subscribe. And remember, healing trauma, codependency, and your lifelong pattern in love does not happen by itself. You need expert guidance and evidence-based methods. And I have helped hundreds of incredible women from all over the country heal betrayal trauma and reclaim their confidence while falling wildly in love with their own lives and attracting healthy relationships. If you like what you heard today and you want to see if you're fit to work with us, go to bethanydotson.com/talk. That's bethanydotson.com/talk and book a call to speak with us today. We'll get on the phone for about 45 minutes and get you crystal clear on 3 things. The real reason you keep attracting dysfunctional relationships, even if you know better or even if you've done tons of work on yourself. What you really want in a relationship, how you want to feel emotionally every single day in your life, and what lifestyle changes you want to make. And then number 3, the exact strategy you need to be using to get there. Again, healing trust issues, codependency, and a lifelong pattern does not happen without expert guidance. We've helped hundreds of women across the country heal complex trauma, codependency, and have the healthiest relationships ever, both with themselves and with others. Go to bethanydotson.com/talk to book your call today. I'll see you on the next episode.